Hi traders, and welcome to the Pepperstone Technical Analysis Wrap on Friday the 6th of March. So we've seen all of the volatility from last week continue on into this week. A lot of the pairs and indices that we were looking at have been moving accordingly. And we can see even the S&P 500 has been moving 2 or 3% up and down basically each night this week. So it's causing pandemonium amongst the markets really. So we'll jump straight into the charts and start identifying some positions that we could potentially get into or that are setting up for next week. Okay, so we'll start with the Aussie as we generally do. We can see here that the big move down from last week continued on and got to basically the lows of very low 64s, which has been a very recent low. We have to go back to basically a monthly to even identify where this one was, and it came very, very close to that level. So it's had a bit of a bounce back now. When we move to the daily chart, we can see that we've had that bit of a reversal straight back into the 20 moving average of those. So look, we've had interest rate decisions, we've had interest rate cuts across the world this week, which have kind of negated each other really. So it reacted as not how you would expect it to, but it's certainly pushed up into the 20 now. Probably looking for a bit of a roll reversal here. If we take a fib of that level, we're probably going to find a decent level to basically retrace from. We'll take that back there. We can see here it's in between the 38.2 and the 23.6, probably a little bit higher. If it gets to the 38.2, we'll be seeing a bit of a roll reversal zone here as well. So certainly one to watch on this one. But it's been definitely had the moves that we expected it was going to, but it's run into some resistance here. The 20 should pull it up, and if that doesn't, the Fibonacci line certainly will give it a little bit of trouble getting through. All right, we'll move on to the USD Swissy. You can see this has just been a free fall, has not changed, hasn't respected any levels whatsoever. So in regard to trading this one, it's really basically a falling knife. You can't really take any trading opportunities from that unless you were already in the short, which you should have been. Take profits, you definitely would have taken those around these levels here if you were in. If you're lucky enough to actually ignore that and actually just stay in, then you've certainly got a really, really big move. You can see that we've got support here. There's no question about that. If it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce from here. But that said, I'd be wanting to see a pretty reasonable change of trend on at least a 4 hour to convince me that this is actually going to go long. I don't like entering trades that are falling like that in the opposite direction. If anything, you'd be looking for a bit of a retrace and then potentially entering in the direction that it is moving. All right, the US dollar yen is the next one we'll look at. This has just continued its free fall as well. As you can see, down to the 106 levels, a pretty significant level for it. It's been there for a little while in the past and hasn't really reacted off it. Can it go down further? Well, yes. I mean, if you look at the double bottom that we've got here, we can move that to a line chart to make that a little bit clearer. You can see we've got this double bottom here. This is probably the logical target. If it does continue to fall, which is another 70 odd pips away, wouldn't surprise me to see it get there. Given the weakness that it's had, we've got a moving average crossover here, as you can see. So yeah, it's certainly not one that I'd be looking at going long anytime soon on, because there's not any real reason to do so. But again, a change of trend on a significant time frame could potentially get us long, but I would be thinking that maybe a possible retrace up a little bit and maybe into the lows of the 105 is the more likely move. But of course, a lot of this is going to depend on what the big indices do and what the dollar index does. Okay, the US dollar CAD, a different story on this one. We can see that it's actually come back and touched that roll reversal perfectly on the channel. It eventually broke out, as you can see, came back and gave us a re-entry point on you're right on it really. So it's a perfect reversal. Anybody who got that move, should be pretty pleased with themselves because it was a perfect setup. How far it can go, look, it's one of those ones where we're in an environment at the moment where we wouldn't be looking for long-term positions on a technical analysis standpoint. It's really, when the market's really volatile, it's going to be a scalping environment. So we really want to be sticking to short and sharp moves. But you've already taken a pretty good run on this one if you did enter on the roll reversal level. But of course, it can certainly push on to new highs. But certainly one to watch. If you want to re-enter this one, you either have to wait for it to come and catch up on the 20 moving average and potentially take it long again, or just sit it out and wait till the next logical place of resistance. So we're not going to see that. I'll have to actually again go out to a weekly chart before we can even see that, and that's around that 136 sort of 50 level. That is a logical target for it. Okay, we can see here we've also got a 135. It's a little bit close to that now though, so I mean, I probably, that's more in its way than anything else. I'd like to see a break of that 135 before we actually take it long for that extra 100 pips to the next serious resistance zone. Okay, we'll move on to XDI next. I've taken XDI straight out to weekly because that's where we literally have to go to find the first place of serious support. We can see that it actually literally touched it spot on down at the sort of mid 43s. No one had any reason not to get into this. We've been talking about this for weeks now, so hopefully everybody went long at this level because it was an excellent level to enter. You don't often get good trades like this that present themselves so well. The free fall just completely continued all the way to that level. We had a really, really good bounce back, effectively a $4 or $5 bounce back now. For the most part, you probably should have taken profit now because obviously, again, we're not looking for long-term inset trends. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see this drop again now that the market is starting to react negatively again. And obviously the coronavirus is going to have effect on oil production and flow around the world. So again, hopefully everybody got onto that trade because it was a very, very easy trade to get into. The support was obvious, and the level pretty much touched it to the cent really. So it was an excellent one. Okay, the next one we will go on to is the S&P 500, the one that we all watch. So this has just been an absolutely crazy week up from a volatility standpoint. You can see here we've had wild swings either way on the, basically 2 and 3% swings every night up and down. That is a very, very volatile market. I obviously don't need to tell you that. To me, it's probably forming, what is effectively a little bit of a flag, really. It's one of those ones that's driven by what's happening around the world as much as it is. It's not really the results of companies that are causing this to fall and be so volatile. It's all about, obviously, the virus, which is affecting nearly every market. Where it goes from here, again, this is not one of those ones where you'd be looking for the long-term settlement of a trend. I don't expect it to be bouncing to its highs again anytime soon, but it could certainly break to new lows. But the 200 certainly caught it here, as you can see. This is into a smaller time frame and basically scalping opportunities. The 30-20 has been a very, very strong zone for it. It's reacted right around it, bounced up 80 points either side of it most recently. Probably use that as your mean at the moment. You can see here it's obviously a very good support zone and roll reversal zone. So probably trade into that zone for now until we get some clarity, but definitely scalping opportunities on the S&P 500. Okay, we will move on to gold, which is one of the ones we love to look at. It's been basically a trading bonanza, really. Everybody has got into this. I know everyone traded. If you were lucky enough to get in on that roll reversal at around the 1580, which I know a lot of people did, you had a very, very good reward. It broke again at the 1600. It gave us another opportunity on the smaller time frame, the 4 hour in particular. Anyone who got in there had another great opportunity. And even last night, it pushed onto the into the 1670 level. So realistically, it's not going to surprise me to see this get to 1700. It's probably the next logical target. First things first, it needs to break that 1685, but I can't imagine that it's going to have a lot of resistance there. And 1700 is probably its next real target. Gold has been just great from a technical standpoint, so hopefully everybody's got involved on that one. Okay, we'll move on to the EURUSD. Another great example of technicals playing out. This has just been a beautiful, beautiful trade. This one, it's just gone long a lot harder and sharper than probably people expected it to. It's obviously going the complete opposite direction as the dollar index, which is fine, but now it finds itself at a very serious resistance level. There's no question about that. The 112 sort of 50 especially, which is pretty much where the 200 moving average is now, is going to cause certainly a lot of angst to get past it. I can't imagine it's going to go blasting past there anytime soon. Its pullbacks have been very shallow, probably very difficult to get into. If you didn't get the initial moves on this one, which I know a lot of people did, it's proven very difficult to get back into because of its sharpness. But the only way I'd be longing this now, if you're not already in it, is a pullback to the 20 at the very least if it catches up. But you can see we're getting a 20-50 moving average cross here on the daily, which is a significant cross. So I'd be looking for probably a pullback to a reasonable level, maybe the 111, and then take it long again and try and break through that 200, which is more than likely it's gonna provide a lot of trouble to get through. There's no question about that. But it's certainly one to watch. Go long when you get a pullback to a nice 20 moving average or another roll reversal zone around that 111.80 even could give you a bit of support. Okay, the last one we will look at is pound USD. Obviously nowhere near as strong as the euro. It's been basically on a downward trajectory on the daily. You can see it's making lower highs and lower lows. There's no real reason for that to change just yet. You can see here that it's come up into a very serious level of resistance. So I would imagine it's also got the 50 there, and it's just broken through the 20. So it's probably going to have a great deal of difficulty breaking through this. So yeah, the technicals are telling us there's probably still a bit more weakness in the pound USD. So yeah, more than likely looking for shorting opportunities. Go to a smaller time frame. Look for a basically continuation of the downtrend, and probably just continue on where the prevailing trend is going, which is down. So it's got a fair bit of work to do to break this level here. If it does break this resistance zone, I wouldn't be taking it on the first break because it is in the downtrend. I'd be waiting for it to break that resistance zone and then potentially come back and touch it from the top end. And if it does that, look for long opportunities then into the next resistance level, which is around that sort of 32.50 level. I hope everybody's had a great week's trading and taken advantage of some of the great technical setups that we've seen. The volatility's been really kind, so hopefully everybody's stop losses and take profits have been set correctly. Just remember that it is a scalping environment at the moment, so maybe you always take a little bit more care if you take profits and stop loss levels to make sure that you're not going to get whipsawed. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.